We have 5 games in the NHL tonight. 5. And I will actually be able to see hockey tonight. Okay. I did watch some of it yesterday, but, I had to get ready for work and it was raining and I wasn't in the best headspace. So, anyways, today I am. So, happy hockey guys back. Today we have Luongo against Schneider in a matchup of the goalies who should still be in Vancouver. Anyhow, at the very least, one of them should still have been in Vancouver. Luongo comes in. The Panthers 8-12-1. Jersey, of course, riding high 14-5-4. Interesting stats I picked up. I was looking through team stats. The Florida Panthers only have 12 power play goals in 21 games. That's not getting it done. And they're allowing 35.9 shots against per game. So this is the way Luongo prefers it. He likes facing a lot of shots. He does. He likes being in a situation where he's going to face 35 to 40 shots a night. Reminds me of Cujo that way. Schneider, on the other hand, his team's scoring 3.2 goals per game, and they're shooting 30.8 shots per game. Now, the fact that they're scoring 3.2 and their shots are 30.8 means their shooting percentage is relatively high. Good for New Jersey. And this on paper looks like a mismatch, not in net, but definitely in terms of how teams are playing. Jersey's got a fantastic offense. Defense is an issue in Florida. Anytime your team is allowing 35 shots a game, your defense needs to get fixed, or your coaching needs to get fixed. Well, they just traded coaches off again, so I'm guessing that Talon's in the market for something to fix their sagging defensive numbers. Now, of course, Talon seemed to be in the market for Goodbranson, and the rumor was it was Goodbranson for Demers, and then that fell through and Demers didn't want to come to Vancouver. It'll be interesting to see if Florida picks up a defensive defenseman to help take some of the load off some of the young guys there that are having to do all this. Now, Philly's in Pittsburgh tonight, and that's always a fight. The Penguins and the Flyers don't like each other much, but the Flyers are not the Broad Street Bullies anymore. They're 8-9-6. Pittsburgh's 12-10-3, and Pittsburgh's looking to build momentum and get back to where they were at the start of the season. It's Elliott in net for Philly. It's likely Murray for Pittsburgh. I can't see Jari getting another start so fast, but I don't know. Maybe if it works. Now, interestingly enough, everybody talks about Philly's record and how bad it is, and they've lost 7 in a row. But their goals for and against, there's only a 3-goal difference. The big thing for Philly is that 74.7% penalty kill. That's brutal. So, it's a good thing they're not the Broad Street Bullies. It's a good thing they're not killing 5 or 6 penalties a night because they'd be toast. The thing is, when you have a 74.7% penalty kill and you're going against Pittsburgh, who gets favorable calls, go that way, and their goals against, they've allowed 3.4 goals against per game, and they have 296 penalty minutes themselves. Now, not all of those can be Ryan Reeves. So, this game could be very interesting. Does Pittsburgh get a chance to take advantage of the bad penalty kill, or does Philly take advantage of the fact that the goaltending in Pittsburgh hasn't been stellar this year? I don't know, people are going to say, well, that's Antti-Niemi, but Matt Murray's numbers haven't been great either. So if he's in net, can Philly take advantage? Can Philly finally start to turn things around? The losing streak can't go on forever. Can it? Can it really? Because I've given up on calling them the unluckiest team. Now I'm just like, nah, they're just done. They're just done. And they're only one game below 500. That's the scary part. If you can get games into overtime and lose in overtime, your 500 record is still there. You can still get back. Columbus, Montreal. This definitely looks like a mismatch on paper when you look at it. 15-7-1 against 9-12-3. Well, clearly Columbus should be the favorite. But Montreal's at home. That's not always a disadvantage. The fans can be nice in Montreal. They can. I've heard it. Carey Price got a shutout in his first game back. There's been all this talk about whether or not the goal should have been called off. And the prevailing opinion seems to be, yeah, it was the right call. Just bear with me. I get it. I know you guys are already yelling at me. But you know, this is how the NHL calls things, and we got to go with it. So Carey Price coming off of a shutout. The interesting thing is, Montreal's only scoring 2.3 goals per game, and they're allowing 3.3 goals per game on average. Their shooting is through the roof. They're shooting 35.6 shots per game. Now, Jersey's only shooting 30.8, and they've got a 3.2 goals against. They're getting almost a full goal more per game while they're taking 5 shots less, which tells me Jersey's shot selection is better than Montreal's. Montreal's likely shooting from the perimeter quite a bit, and they're not getting those prime shots right in front of the net. And when they do, they're snake bit. That has to turn around. You can't have 35.6 shots per game and not see your goals for start going up. Now with Carey Price in net, and if he's back to being Carey Price, if he's back to being a star goaltender, that frees up their offense to start really pushing. They're not going to have to cheat back in their own zone and try to prevent goals as much. They can start cheating and they can start getting some more goals. This is a prime opportunity. Now, interesting notes here. Columbus only has 6 power play goals this year. That would sink anybody, but they've only allowed 9. Their penalty kill is 84.5%, which is good for, I believe it said, 5th in the league. They've only got 146 penalty minutes. A very clean game played by Columbus. This could be a fast game. This could be one of those games with very few whistles, very few penalties, and you go, wait, it's over? The other game's still only in the second. This could be that game. And if it is, I would look for a low-scoring game. I'd look for Carey Price to stand on his head, Bobrovsky to stand on his head, and this could be fantastic. That being said, now it'll be like 6-4. But regardless, this is an interesting game, because if Montreal can win this and get to 10 wins and start putting some wins together, they can start making up ground in the Atlantic. And if Montreal can make up ground in the Atlantic and become relevant again, then some people who talk about the Atlantic being horrible won't have a whole lot to talk about. I don't think the Atlantic is that bad. I don't. I think there's some teams that have struggled. I think there's some teams that have been off to slow starts. But I don't think it's a bad division. I would still say it's a little bit better than the Pacific. Minnesota's and Winnipeg. Minnesota 11-9-3. Winnipeg 14-6-3. Stalock's in net for Minnesota. Hellebuck for Winnipeg. Interesting stat for Minnesota, 3 goals per game for them. 3.1 for Winnipeg. And for Winnipeg, this is, you know, the start of a homestand. Yeah, their last game was on the road. That was in San Jose. And this is a good test for them, because Minnie's coming in. This is when you're supposed to start pushing back, Minnie. This is when you guys are supposed to get back into the race. It's a race, and you're supposed to be. And the great part is, it's not like they're way out of the race. They're in the race. They just seem to be spinning their wheels. So tonight's a good night to come out. Assert yourselves in Winnipeg. Winnipeg takes 29 shots a game, has 3.1 goals per game. The reason there's no other stats below Minnesota is everything's middling. Everything's kind of middle of the pack. Goals, goals against, shots, shots against. Everything's kind of middle of the pack with Minnesota. There's nothing really to distinguish them. They have to start asserting themselves. Get on. They're not going to get on a run like they did last year, but get on some kind of a winning, like 5 or 6 in a row kind of win streak, and make themselves relevant, because they could be buried in the Central as soon as now. Winnipeg, they're chasing. St. Louis, Nashville, and if these guys get going, this is going to be a bloodshed in the bottom of the division, because you still got Colorado. So the Central's really tough to call. And I've had people saying, you know, the Central's the toughest division to call. And I agree with those people. 100% agree with those people. The Central is brutal. Out of my top 7 on my power rankings, I've got 3 of them. 3 teams. And Minnesota is not one of them. And they've got some ground to make up. Tonight is the night. Winnipeg sitting with 31 points. Minnesota sitting with 25. So, of course, if they lost in regulation, they're 8 points back. If they win in regulation, they're 4 points back. Huge difference right there. Anaheim, with everybody injured. It looks like Gibson's starting against Crawford. No word yet on whether or not their plane got stuck in snow and they can't play tonight, so they're going to have to forfeit. Like, The unluckiest team was Philly. I'm now going to go with Anaheim in terms of luck. They have virtually none right now, and injuries are just destroying their lineup. So I expect a win for Chicago tonight. Absolutely. Crawford's playing well. Their penalty kill is at 85.2%, which I think is third in the league. They're allowing 34.3 shots against per game. They can't keep doing that. And Anaheim is allowing 36.6 shots per game. Their goals per game is at 2.6. They've only got 11 power play goals on the season. Now, Chicago's not a team that takes a lot of penalties anyways, but the fact that they can't score on the power play and they're allowing 36.6 shots per game, that tells me that their defense was hurt, which it was. Now they got Fowler, they got Vatanen, they get everybody back, at least on the blue line. I think they have Fowler and Vatanen. I think it's just their forwards that are all beat up. Isn't that fun? But I think all that's wrong with Anaheim is most of their forwards are hurt. And Miller just came off of an injury. That's just brutal. It is when you think about it. So I'm guessing if you're an Anaheim fan, it's better just not to think about it. Because it's the kind of thing that'll drive you insane. Yeah, so in case you missed my injury video from last night, Kessler, Eves, Getzlaff, Bowl, Cache, Raquel. Other than that, everybody's healthy. This could be an ugly one tonight. If Chicago plays like Chicago can, if they play like, I don't know, the team that played the first 2 weeks of the season, Anaheim could get shelled. Gibson's going to have to stand on his head for Chicago to have a chance. So there you go. 5 games. Let me know who you got tonight. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.